Do you guys want to see an impossibly light laptop that has really good battery life, is very premium, and has a killer screen and all the fixins of a ThinkPad? Well, that's the ThinkPad. This here is the end of 2024 and mostly 2025 Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Carbon. This one here is the Aura Edition. Aura Edition means that it has a Lunar Lake processor. This one here, you're going to be equipped with that Lunar Lake processor, in this case the 258V. Fantastic processor. 8-core processor, no threads, but it's not designed to be some multi-core, multi-thread monster, but it can still get the job done for stuff like video editing. You're also going to get really good iGPU on this as well. This one here is equipped with a killer screen, an OLED screen. But yeah, let's not go a little any further into spoiling the video. If you're looking for an actually absurdly light and portable laptop that is still very premium, let's watch this video and see what I think of it.
Okay, let's have a look at the ThinkPads here. We'll come into the Lenovo website. This is the Lenovo Canadian website. See the different options here. Lots of different options. Of course, there's a builder. We'll come in here. We'll look at the PSREF as well. But you can see here various different V options. Interestingly, as you can see here, Carbon Gen 3, they do actually list some H processors. H processors being the new Arrow Lake stuff. I'm actually recording this on a 255H Arrow Lake. We do also have options for the Arrow Lake. These are these H processors. I'm not sure if they're going to come into Canada and the United States. If they do, there's a big difference. So 255H, for example, Core Ultra 7 versus, let's say, for example, here, even the highest one, Core Ultra 7 268V. These V processors are Lunar Lake processors. They have 8 cores, no threads, but they're very efficient. They are still powerful, very effective for day-to-day stuff. You'll see that in this review here. We're going to be using a V processor, but they're just not as much raw power. Really available in the West yet, but maybe by the time this video goes out, you get a lot more performance here. So you get 6 performance cores, 8 E cores, and 2 LPE cores versus just 8. So no hyper-threading anymore on these Intel chips at all, so just be aware of that, but you just get a lot of cores on it. We have several different iGPU capabilities here. These are on the Arrow Lake, the H processors. I'm using this one right now. On this laptop review that we're doing today, we're in the Lunar Lake stuff, so the V iGPU. All of these are very good iGPUs, all of them. Low, high, even these higher ones here, they're all going to be fantastic. So don't really worry about it. If you do want to do, the most gaming, get into this one here, or get into this one here, but I can assure you, you'll see in this video at the end, you can game on all of them. And there are various screen options here, 1200p ones here, non-touch versus touch. They're all bright, they all have good color space, but they're all 60 hertz, but still, generally speaking, good screens, especially for business use. You do have access to the OLEDs here, again, not available, but 1800p, which is much higher resolution. OLED, so better blacks, not quite as bright, but you do also have a better color space, 100% DCI-P3 and 120 hertz. Generally speaking, they're all good.
Here we are with the X1 Carbon. It has shocking little weight to it. Traditional ThinkPad look to it, right? Modern ThinkPad. You do get the camera bump out there, so you can get a little bit of a better camera in it. Black matte, super dark black midnight kind of color to it. Traditional, very traditional looking ThinkPad. You will be prone to getting some fingerprints in that, just the way that they are. You can give them a quick wipe down, but just be aware it is a black matte. You can get skins for these as well if that's something you're into. This thing is so light though. Like, let's just start with just how light this thing is. I guess that's kind of one of the purposes of the product, to just be absurdly light. 984 grams. That is so light. And in the hand, like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's a firm chassis, right? There's no flex on it or anything like that. So when you're holding it, it's just this incredibly light laptop. Like, wow, feels like I'm holding a tablet. I mean, I swear, like, some tablets are heavier than that. Anyways, looks pretty good though. Traditional ThinkPad, I'm very comfortable with them. Not too much fan intake or anything on the bottom. Right? Just a couple intakes there. Looks pretty good. Feet to raise it up. Right side, Kensington lock slot, HDMI out, which is nice to see full HDMI out on a tiny little laptop like this, but it's a business machine, it makes sense. USB-A, very good. Headphone, microphone combo,
Very good. Left side. Another USB-A. Look at that. A tiny little laptop with 2 USB-A. Yes, it can be done. And 2 Thunderbolt ports. So you're going to get a ton of I/O. For such a thin laptop, you get access to 2 USB-A. Fantastic. This one here has the always-on battery, so you can charge stuff with it. And then you get 2 Thunderbolt ports, which means you can run things like docs and that. If you need more ports, I mean, you got HDMI out as well too, right? So you probably don't in many cases, but maybe you just need to have tons of peripherals. Like maybe that's your thing. Take something like this with you. Take one of the Lenovo. They have their Lenovo docks as well. ThinkPad or whatever they're called docks. You can get those. Inside, spoiler for that nice screen. See that there? Camera bump out there with an actual physical switch. So you can just physically block it off. You get some IR and lighting and that kind of stuff up there. Very good. Traditional ThinkPad interior as well. This one here does have the control and function. Some people, they're swapped like that. I don't use ThinkPads enough to get used to them because I go on and off on them. I use them all the time, but I'm constantly swapping. So it is actually nice for me to have control there and function there. You can swap them in BIOS, but just beware of that. Fingerprint reader right there. Very nice. Power's over here, which you may have saw. It was already on. Fingerprint reader right there rather than like a built-in one into the fingerprint itself. Copilot button, whatever, it's annoying, but it is what it is. And then you do get access to a traditional ThinkPad keyboard, traditional ThinkPad trackpad with the track point nib as well. Yeah, it's not dead. I just did a review of the X9, which did not have a track point. And so it's like, the ThinkPad is dead. I think maybe I put like the track point is dead for the video, whatever. Obviously it's not, but just for that laptop it was. Very nice. Okay, so the keyboard, we'll just get in here. We'll start right into this video. Already done some benchmarks. Just messing about. So we'll come in here, traditional ThinkPad keyboard. Not as much travel as the old school ThinkPads of yore, but you know, despite the fact that they don't have huge keycaps, reasonably large keycaps, but they're not huge, you do get a ton of travel, like actually a ton of travel. And ThinkPad keyboards are more or less legendary. I mean, if you know laptops, then you know that they are, but we'll give it a quick type here. Typo. Yeah, fantastic. I mean, what did I get? One typo in that whole time? Yeah, that one there. Just left it. It's such a nice typing experience. I mean, you get one of these as a student or a business person traveling around. I mean, what are you gonna beat for this here? You take it with you. You set it down in class, set it down in your meetings, bang out an essay, do a whole quick thesis, dissertation, bang it out there, no problems. It's awesome. You do have access to function keys up here. You can see you do have your rows, volume up, volume down. Right now they are those. You can hit function that and it locks it, so now they're going to work as function keys. You can see that. I typically leave them like that. Your choice. Very cool. You do also have function backlight. Not a crazy RGB, but a little bit of backlighting. See that there? Perfect for night, right? Just enough to give it a little bit of shine through to help you find the keys. That's all that they're designed to do there. So that's really nice. Then the trackpad here, we don't have haptic trackpad. You can see the plunge. Yeah, you can see that. It's actually a plunging trackpad, a traditional ThinkPad trackpad. I prefer haptic trackpads, and I prefer like Yoga and IdeaPad Pro type trackpads because these are a little soft. But to be honest, they're supposed to be, because you're going to be using these probably in a school environment, business environment. You don't need this to be like ka-chuk, 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 ka-chuk. I like it and I don't care. You have to listen to my trackpad. Okay, so getting inside the laptop is actually quite easy. You just take out a bunch of screws and then you just basically pry it up with a pry tool. It doesn't have removable screws. They're just kind of hanging out in there. As you can see, they're the washer style. So just beware they don't come out. Plastic bottom, fairly firm plastic, but the laptop itself is so light and thin, it doesn't really have any wobble or anything like that.
We can see inside of the laptop, we have the speakers, I think, are these two here, and they actually fire up into the keyboard. It's one of those, I guess they're kind of like old school style from way back, where they actually fire into the laptop keyboard. So the sound just kind of comes out of that into you while you're using it. You'll see when we get to the audio section how that sounds, but that's kind of cool. Battery is decent size here. 57 watt-hour battery. Pretty good in terms of size for such a thin laptop especially. And this is a Lunar Lake. This is a Lunar Lake processor, so it's going to have really, really good battery life overall. Then in here, we have only one NVMe for upgrading. You can see 2280 full length is accepted. That may look like an NVMe slot, but that is a WAN slot there. Should not accept a NVMe like at all. You can see here. Right? That's for cellular, so just be aware of that. It may look like it, but it's not. And we have under here 2 tiny little fans and a single heat pipe. Is it going to run super hot? You'll find out when we get to that section, but I will give you some spoilers. It is a Lunar Lake processor, which is very efficient. Basically, you can get these things up to 30-35 watts for like full performance, but they don't even need that, honestly. You can run them at actually much lower watts, and they're going to run totally fine. These things are very, very efficient. So inside looks fine. I mean, not super upgradable, not even Wi-Fi, but it does the trick. It's a super, super, super thin, weighs nothing laptop. You don't really expect much more than that, like upgradable RAM, upgradable really anything very realistically. But you do get a WAN slot, which is kind of cool. Screen on it is fantastic. It's a really, really, really nice screen. This is one of Lenovo's non-glossy OLEDs. I use the P14S and the P16S and some other ones as well with this exact screen. The P1, they have these OLEDs and they're non-glossy. You can see that reflectivity. There's a light right there. On a full glossy OLED, that thing would be like a mirror finish. You'd be able to see me in it. It would be super reflective. You can see there's no touch. I think some of them actually do, despite the the matte of it. But a lot of times touch screens will have a lot more gloss on them. So as a result, there's no touch layer. So there's absolutely no screen door effect or anything like that. It's just a really nice looking screen in terms of color reflectivity. It is an OLED screen. I'm going to kill off that one there. It is an OLED screen, so you're going to have very good blacks as well. We'll get into the colors there. You're also going to have good colors on this model. It is a high color space OLED screen, high resolution too, 1600p. So at this inchage of the screen, it's going to be very high pixel density as well. That's going to be awesome. It's going to be very, very, very crisp if you're doing professional tasks, video editing type stuff. It does shrink down some of the interface in that. You can use scaling in that, but I always prefer to have a finer resolution. It just looks better. There's more space. And the other nice thing is here you come in, high refresh. I was doing some battery tests before. 120 hertz, high refresh. So it's 1800p, it's high refresh, and it's an OLED. I'm going to show you something cool here. Now, it is an OLED, so you get absolute blacks. A glossy OLED screen might appear to be slightly deeper in terms of blacks, because that's just how they're designed. Even a glossy IPS can have some really nice blacks, but this is definitely an OLED panel. It's just that it's a non-glossy OLED, so it does kind of cut down the blacks just a touch. However, if you put this beside an IPS screen, you'll be like, yeah, it's obviously an OLED, right? Very obvious, especially if you turn off the lights. You really start to get into a darker room, right? Like the OLEDness of an OLED really starts to show once you start to kill off some lights there, right? Like, obviously. Whereas an IPS, you'd start to get a little bit of like a gray glow to it, the IPS glow. So we don't have that issue here because it's an OLED. Not only is it an OLED, it's a beautiful OLED. So it's a high color space OLED, right? So it's not just an OLED, it's a high color space OLED. That's important. Like I've been actually reviewing a couple OLEDs that were not high color space. Obviously those reds were really nice. No muting on the reds. There was no pink tone to it. Greens are gorgeous. They really pop because of that DCI-P3 color space. When you have a non-DCI-P3 color space, you go down to sRGB, you start to mute the greens a little, you start to mute the reds a little. So we have multiple reasons why this is a beautiful screen. It's fine resolution, 1800p, high refresh, 120 hertz, OLED blacks, and it's 100% DCI-P3. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful screen. This will not let you down here. Okay, we'll do an audio test now, just kind of see how this thing sounds. I do anticipate it's going to sound pretty good. Recently, in 2024, the end of 2024, midway even, and then now in 2025, ThinkPads in general just have good speakers. They used to not, honestly. ThinkPads used to have like bad speakers, unless you got the super premium stuff.
But I've been just noticing just generally across the board an increase in the quality of speakers. They sound great, honestly. Yeah, I mean, it's not like a quad or six speaker setup or anything like that. Yeah, they're not going to be staggering or anything like that. Like you don't have, the setup like on the X9 that I think had speakers here, and then it also had, up firing there. So you had like a multi-speaker setup, mega bass and all that. But it's pretty good. You're gonna have no problems with that. Listening to even music, obviously, if you're doing media consumption, it's gonna be great. Now we'll do a quick Cinebench run here. This is not a video editing monster or code compile monster. Lunar Lake isn't like that. It actually has 8 cores and it has no threads. It's just 8 cores. There's no hyper threading. So scores and that on synthetic benchmarks don't actually look very good because it doesn't have hyper threading, and it's doesn't have efficiency cores and performance cores and all of these extra stuff and bells and whistles. It's not meant for that. But it actually does perform very well in video editing tasks. I've actually used the Lunar Lake laptop many times to do video editing, and it performs quite well. But in the synthetics, they often come up a little short, just so you know. So just if you get this laptop and you're like, why are my synthetic benchmarks crap? Well, it's fine. Don't worry about it. But we will come in here and we will test the noise and thermals. And there's a little bit of throttling there, but honestly, it's fine. The fans are so quiet. Again, it's meant to be what it is. It's meant to be extremely portable, have really good battery life, and have great efficiency out of that CPU. 9,834. I actually ran it. I've already done this. I ran it with this not on there, and it got a little over 10,000, which was the highest Lunar Lake score I've actually got to date, which is interesting. Throttling is gone, by the way. The fan just kicked up. It's actually a very quiet laptop. 42 is like legitimately very quiet for, running full bore, doing as best that it can here. Again, as I mentioned, these chips are very efficient. Okay, let's have a look at a couple other benchmarks here. We'll start here with the included SSD. It's very fast. This is a Gen 5 SSD, 13,000 for the reads, 7,000 for the writes. Yeah, it's really fast. I thought it might be an error at first, but I looked up the spec on this, and yeah, that's a Gen 5 drive, so very fast. Wi-Fi here is as fast as my Wi-Fi goes, so very good. Then we're going to get into the battery life. This is where this laptop is designed to excel. Not just being portable, but being portable with really good battery life, despite not having a super large battery. So here we are at full brightness, full refresh, just kind of hanging out in Windows, doing some basic stuff, nothing too intense. 3.3 watts being burned. That's 3.3 watts. Yeah, you heard me right. What's that going to give us here on a 60 watt hour battery? It's going to give us approximately 1,000 minutes. 1,000 minutes, if you translate that out, is looking at about 16, 17 hours, somewhere around there. I mean, you're looking for an all-day battery life. This is like you use the laptop in school, then you take it home, and you take it to school the next day, and it still lasts the whole day. This is multiple day battery life there. Now, does that stack up when we're doing more intensive stuff? Here we are doing some 1080p 60 YouTube. What's the amount of watts being burned here? Well, it did go up, but good news is we're still only at 4.5 watts on average watching a YouTube video. And that there is going to give us an easy 12 hours, maybe 13 hours. So you are actually looking at truly all day battery life. This is MacBook level battery life out of a tiny little laptop. And that's where these Lunar Lake chips excel. They're not the most powerful things of all time, but damn, do they have good battery life. Camera time, and we are in a horrible lighting situation where there's like no light. Look at that light right there on the side of my face. Yeah, it's doing a pretty good job. Even with the lights off, it's doing pretty good. With the lights on, obviously that's going to do a decent job. When I'm leaning forward now, there's really not much light coming in the front at all. I have like my office room light off. I just have some like ambient lights here hanging out. It's doing a pretty good job. The polling is actually really good too, despite that dark. So it's actually a good webcam.
Again, not some 4K monster webcam, but it'll get the job done for what this laptop is designed. Okay, let's do a little bit of game testing now. We'll just do one game, just proof of concept type thing. This is God of War, the original God of War. Let's check reference settings here. This is a high resolution screen, 1800p, so we're going to go with probably ultra performance FSR. There's no XeSS, unfortunately. That's fine. We'll go down to low, just see if it makes a big difference there. Go down like that there. Well, that's a huge jump in performance. Wow, okay. Yeah, so original was it was running at 30, but there was like drops where it was going down to like 25 when there was some like micro stutter and slowdown. Not detecting that at all anymore here. It feels nice and smooth. For some reason, Afterburner was being weird. Whatever. Just not going to run it right now. But yeah, so you're going to be able to do a lot of AAA gaming on this. Anything you can do on any of the handhelds, Legion Go, ROG Ally, that kind of stuff. You'll be able to run on this at the same, better technically. The 140V is slightly more powerful than this 780M in most games. It's going to be either equal or slightly above. Some games might be slightly slower, just depends on the title, if they prefer Intel or AMD drivers. But generally speaking, it's going to be very capable for AAA gaming with reasonable settings, right? It's not a gaming beast. Obviously, it's not going to be like a 4090 or something, but you're going to be able to do some pretty serious gaming here. Like again, we're playing God of War here, and it's a totally fine experience. It's no different than playing on the PS4 Pro. I think that game ran at 30. We're getting higher than that here.
This way, boy.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyways, the other thing is it's also completely silent. Oh, I can hear it a little bit, I guess. Mike probably exaggerates it, but yeah, it's no louder than like a little handheld or something like that. And you're getting some pretty serious gaming here. Obviously, not AAA 3D super demanding titles. You're going to get massively higher performance, but AAA modern games, you're going to be fine as long as you're reasonable settings. Okay, so what do I think about this laptop? Negatives, none. Well, there's always going to be some negatives. These models here are fairly expensive. ThinkPad Premium, super, super premium ThinkPad Premium. That's just the way that it is. You're paying for what you get there. I don't really think of any other negatives. I guess like internally you can't add more upgradability, but that doesn't even make sense for what the laptop is. So that's that. There aren't really any negatives. I guess fingerprints. Yeah. Fingerprints can be kind of annoying. It's a black chassis. You can get fingerprints on it. That would be the one thing that would actually legitimately be like, I wish it didn't do that. Personally, if I bought this, I would actually get a skin, like a little vinyl skin. I wish that they offered this one here in that kind of really dark gray that some ThinkPads have. Not the metallic one, but there's like a plasticky material that is a very, very dark gray. I don't know why they don't have this on this one. That would be fantastic. Positives. The trackpad is fine. It's a ThinkPad trackpad. It's not my preference, but it's fine. Some people like that. You get the track point nib. That's good. People like that. Keyboard is fantastic. Truly, actually, legitimately fantastic. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Speakers are good, honestly, considering they're coming out of the keyboard there. They sound pretty good. No problems there. Nice and loud. Good bass. Everything. Webcam's fine. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Internals, fine. You get a 2280 size NVMe. Not those little short ones. Performance is very good on that NVMe if you saw the benchmark sections. Screen is fantastic. 1800p screen on a screen of this size is very pixel dense. 120 hertz refresh rate. Awesome. And it's an OLED screen. And it's not just an OLED screen, it's a non-glossy OLED screen with 100% DCI-P3 color space. So this is like the screen that I like. This type of OLED screen, because if they're super glossy, they can bother your eyes. There's issues with them. This screen here is absolutely killer. And then we can talk about the chip and the battery life. The Intel chip in here is very performant. It's not meant to be, a hyper-threading multi-core monster and get 30,000 in Cinebench in terms of synthetics. It's not designed to do that, but it's still very capable for those type of tasks anyways. Things like video editing, it's fine. It's totally fine. Intel-based encoders for video editing are actually very fast. So the exporting of video files is very good on this laptop, and actually doing the processing part, which is more CPU, is very good. The iGPU in here is outstanding. It's one of the best iGPUs you can buy on the market. There's a couple better, I guess. You could get the 890M, which is in much more powerful type laptops. And then there's the upcoming stuff, the AMD 395. That wouldn't make sense in this laptop, obviously. Meaning that you can have such a thin laptop, super, super, super thin laptop. You don't need to have the CPU here ripping at very high watts to still get outstanding performance. On previous Intel laptops, you did. You needed to get very high watts, and as soon as those watts went down, your performance went right off the cliff. Not the case here. You can drop those watts actually a lot on this laptop here, meaning you get really good battery life, really good thermals, but you still get performance. But if you're looking for something that fulfills that niche of being super, super light, super, super portable, not compromising anywhere, honestly, for what it is, like physically and engineeringly wise, there's nothing else they could do this laptop to make it better, except, I don't know, put magic powers into it or something. So that's the laptop here, the Lenovo X1 Carbon, the Aura Edition. I'm going to call it 2025 laptop because it is. It did come out before, but we're really getting into these in 2025. So that's the laptop there. It's fantastic. I'm jealous that I can't keep this. That's life, though.